Fitting the door lining can seem fiddly, but here's a beginner-friendly guide on how to install. For quick reference, header is the top piece, jambs are the two side pieces, and the slamming strip is the stop the door closes against. So, step 1. Measure and cut. Walls are rarely straight, so measure in 4 places and use the smallest number. For the header, measure the opening width in 4 spots. Take the smallest measurement, subtract 8 to 10mm clearance each side, 16 to 20mm in total, then cut the header to size. For the jambs, measure the opening height in 4 spots and take the smallest measurement, subtract 8 to 10mm clearance, the header thickness, and 5mm clearance for future flooring. Then mark and cut both jambs. If you're unsure, leave them slightly long and trim them to fit. Step 2. Assemble the frame. On the header, mark your fixing points at each end, about half the lining thickness in. Then drill and countersink. Align the header and the jambs together, pile a hole through the fixing point through to the jambs, then add the wood glue where the two joins meet. Then screw the header to the jambs, making sure all faces are flush. Step 3. Brace and square. Using a straight piece of timber as a brace, mark the internal top width of the lining on the brace. Then, mark about 200mm up from the bottom of each jamb, and then line the brace up with those markings and fix into place. To square the lining, we're using the 3-4-5 method. Don't worry, it's easier than you think. Mark 300mm down the inner face of one of the jambs, then mark 400mm along the inner face of the header. Now using a timber brace, mark 500mm across, leaving a good amount of overhang on each side. Place a timber brace across the header and jamb, adjusting the frame until all the markings line up. Then, fix the brace into place. Step 4. Fitting the lining. Offer the lining into the opening, centre it. Mark our fixing points by measuring in from the outer edge by the door thickness. Align a piece of slamming strip offcut along your marking to use as a guide so your fixing sits behind it. Mark around the lining with a combination square. Then drill and countersink even fixings around both the header and the jambs. Pack under the corresponding jambs to level the header first. Then pack behind each fixing point, making sure the packers are snug but not tight so the lining stays plumb. Screw the header and jambs into place, checking your levels as you go. Then remove the temporary braces. And finally, step 5. Fitting the slamming strips. Mark the door lining thickness around the inside of the frame as a guide. Now measure the lining width and cut the top slamming strip to size, gluing and pinning it into place. For the jamb strips, measure from the underside of the header slamming strip to the bottom, cut to length, then glue and pin. And that's it! You've got a made to measure MDF door lining that's braced, square, plumb and ready for your new door. Hope this helps.